It is the Fantasy Sanctuary Best Ball Show with myself and Tyler, as always, but not on a Monday for once. We are breaking the rules and coming to you on a very special Tuesday with a very special guest. It is Mr. Pete Overzet himself. Pete, Best Ball Summer, it's well and truly upon us. Training camp stuff happening thick and fast. We've got Tyrion Matthew retiring. We've got Terry McLaurin not turning up to camp. Like, are you in the zone properly for this summer now?
Yeah, I was just writing the Fantasy Life newsletter for tomorrow, and it's like every time I was writing up a blurb, there'd be a new one, like trying to keep track of all of the fire hose of information. So yeah, it's coming fast and furious, but it's fun, right? Because for fantasy, like all this stuff shakes up draft board, ADPs, even if it's just micro movements, still gives us something to discuss. Those of us who have been hyper analyzing it all summer long.
Yeah, like what's the one thing that you think is possible that we could see in the next week or 2 weeks that would completely, so to speak, flip the board on its head?
Yeah, I don't know about like completely flip it, but I do think this Najee situation is getting more and more bizarre. That was the one right before we hopped on air here where Harbaugh's like, I have no clue if he's going to be here at training camp. They signed Nyheim Hines yesterday. We still haven't seen like any photos of him, any other official medical reports. It's just starting to pile up in a way where it's like anything is on the table now. Like he could walk in tomorrow and be like, hey, just kidding, guys, forgot to check my phone. Or it could be like, yeah, I'm never playing football again. And neither of those would surprise me.
How about you, Tyler? Like, you're news hounding things as much as anyone. Like, what are you feeling could come to fruition?
It's on because like if you go look at his like Harbaugh's like injury coach speak rating, it's really high. So the fact he's being so coy with I'm not a doctor is on because his GM last week just told us the Stanford doctors have been telling our doctors what they know. Seems positive. Like we know what they know, get treatment there. Now he's in the office and all we're being told is, hey, he's in meetings, he's in good spirits, he's feeling grateful, and we're glad he's alive. It's weird, it's on, and we're stuck. It's like a very unpleasant drafter pass. We have analyze calf and ankle size or analyze ambiguous coaching injury comments, and neither one of those feels particularly fruitful. And yet, there's an edge to be had if you can discern correctly. So it's really weird to find the middle ground. It feels like maybe it's okay, and this is just him trying to be like, hey, look, I'm just going to let him recover from an embarrassing thing until he's ready to go. But you'd imagine there'd be some sort of timeline. If the Stanford doctor said, hey, he's going to need about this much time to recover, then they could extrapolate and be like, hey, maybe by like mid to late camp he'll be back.
Yeah.
We've had similar comments for a bunch of other players with longer timeline injuries, but he's also not the only player to be told we don't have a concrete timeline for, with Ayuk getting the similar John Lynch comment. So yeah, really hard to discern there.
I think the one for me that stands out is like the Browns quarterback situation. Like, we've got Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett there, guys who clearly aren't long-term answers, clearly probably aren't even win now answers. And then you've got two rookies who, there wasn't serious draft capital invested in them. Like, would it surprise anyone if we saw them make a move for Kirk Cousins? Now, obviously, that a lot of that comes back to is Kirk Cousins okay? But like, if the Falcons eventually just took whatever they could get for him, how much would that shake up things? Like, Pete, if something like that happened, would you start drafting David Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman higher?
I don't know. I'm not even convinced Kirk Cousins is better than Joe Flacco at this point too, right? Like it also, if we add like a sixth quarterback into the mix into Cleveland, that would just be anarchy. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice, like for drafting purposes, to know who to stack with these Browns. I feel that with the Giants too. Like obviously it's more binary there, but yeah, it's not fun to be trying to attack these offenses. And I like a lot of the prices on the Browns. Like I draft a lot of Jeudy and Njoku, and it's no fun to not have a stack option at the end.
Yeah. So, like, thinking back to, like, this time last year, like, we were all, in hindsight, overdrafting Jalen Polk, and then today you get the news that, like, he might not even make the final roster, according to Pat's beat reporters. Like, is there anyone you're worried that you might be overdrafting at that point? And, aren't you worried about insert rookie here?
For which specific situation? Just in general?
Just in general, yeah, like out of any team, like, this rookie class has definitely brought plenty of hype, particularly at the running back position. It wouldn't really be surprising considering the depth of the running back if like running backs were susceptible to a few surprise cuts.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which one would burn me. Like the rookies I've drafted a lot of are Tootin, Luther Burden. But yeah, I mean, the only one situation now I've been thinking a lot about, could we see a Keenan Allen rise similar to what we had with J.K. Dobbins, where he's kind of like forgotten, and then it's like, oh, holy cow, you land on a team and there's targets and they brought you in because they needed you, and then all of a sudden we're drafting that player like 3 to 4 rounds higher. So I kind of been thinking about like which players could burn me in that direction, like that they're going to rise up, where I'm a little less worried about, losing a couple rounds of CLV.
I think we're at the spot now where a guy that's steaming up because of projectable, fragile, like who else is playing, and then a Keenan Allen steps in and takes that. You saw, I mean, like that just happened with Tolbert like 2 months ago, right? Where he was rising to like the 15th round, and then they traded for Pickens, and he, goes back to undrafted. I wouldn't be shocked if we get that a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if that's Jalen McMillan, with like the comments coming out this morning with Godwin not at camp, taking part in activities right now, and the OC saying, hey, he's a great player, he's got a lot of good chemistry. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a McMillan rise, and then Godwin's back on the field, Egbuka's tearing up camp, and then we get into week 1 and McMillan's a part-time role player. I can see things like that where we start overcorrecting for like week 1 too much just based on early comments.
Well, Tyler, like, as a self-confessed McMillan slappy last year, but also somebody who's been pretty aggressive on Godwin this year, like how far up draft boards would you be willing to chase McMillan?
I'm not convinced that's a good bet to do, considering, the first round rookie coming in. Godwin, this isn't news. Like they were hopeful he'd be ready for training camp. He's there. He's progressing. He's just not taking part in activities yet. They said it might be coming in the next week or two, like this. They slow ramped him off an ACL. This ultimately doesn't impact his week 1 availability. And I think a lot of the McMillan hype is just that he's been there. He's been available. He's got chemistry with Baker. We saw that early in the OTAs, but I think that forgets that we had really, really powerful steam with a first round rookie in OTAs, who McMillan said, hey, he's way ahead where I was coming in as a rookie, and has had really good rapport with Baker too. So I think a few training camp clips and a few too many comments that are too rosy lead us to forget that ultimately we're playing for week 17. And I don't know that a 3rd round rookie, if everyone's available and healthy, is the bet we get over our skis on, based on, late July comments.
Yeah. I mean, look, we'll get into a draft in a little bit, but Pete, we've beaten around the bush a little bit on this, but Rory, one of our YouTube members, asking, question for Pete, what was your first thought when Tyler came back onto the stream after grabbing his headgear?
Yeah, he's referencing the randomizer from last week, and it's funnier now seeing Tyler in his nice button up. I assume you had some work calls earlier. It's kind of like a Superman situation there. Once you're on the randomizer, the panties are in play, and now it's all business here on the Flock stream.
Tyler, anything to come back at that?
You know what? You got to have range. Pete knows that, and different times call for different measures. And when the moment calls for it, you rise to the occasion. And when it's time to go back into the phone booth, you go back to unassuming. To be fair, though, Pete, I got a couple of unbuttoned buttons here, so it's not all business.
Party time.
The real question everyone wants to know is your wife aware of what happened to that particular pair of underwear?
Absolutely not. We pick our time and place, and we'll wait for a few months. And maybe when we're on vacation in Japan, I will tell a funny story of a few months ago after we had a couple bottles of sake and some sushi.
Yeah, I'm just folding some laundry. Funny story about this pair over here. I now have.
Hey, I recognize that pair. That takes me back.
So, not to segue too much away from Tyler. I mean, having done a lot of shows with Tyler, you have to learn to just sometimes just throw the brakes in and segue. But Pete, like, for anyone who's kind of coming to best ball, and there still is like loads of people new to best ball, like hosting FantasyPros best ball show, like their audience for best ball, it's so much more casual than the sicko chats and group discords that we're all part of. But what's one thing that like you've kind of felt is the big lesson to come away from last year, which felt like a big learning point for a lot of people?
Yeah, that's a good question. because I still think like casuals are still like interacting with best ball on like a player level, like who are the players I like. And you have noticed them being more willing to embrace the like portfolio conversation of like, I want 40% of someone, or like want to draft a lot. I mean, maybe this is for this year just because we have so many contest types in the Underdog lobby. And I think it kind of illustrates how much a tournament structure should be dictating how you play a specific game. And so many people still want to view fantasy football lens through this binary lens. This player's good, this player's bad. And it's like, go play in the Eliminator versus Best Ball Mania. And like the player archetypes you're entertaining there can be wildly different with what you're trying to accomplish. And so to me, that's kind of the gap still between, like you said, the sickos who were willing to kind of bend strategies for what we're playing, and normies who I think still kind of miss that, the tournament, the structure, and even for casual home leagues, right? Like if you're playing in a winner take all home league versus like the top 6 get paid out, like that should probably be changing how you approach it. So yeah, just knowing your league settings, which sounds so, boring and obvious, but I think it's something that is still lost a bit.
Do you find it difficult? Because obviously you do plenty of high stakes redraft stuff with the guys, like main events and bits. Do you find it difficult, like those first few ones getting in? Obviously FFPC ADP is so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, when we come from drafting a ton of Underdog, and I know these ADPs inside now, and then I've done like 2 FFPC drafts and I don't have a huge frame of reference. It's like I have my player takes, I know like the kind of things I generally want to do, but I'm completely lost when I'm like, oh, this guy's going to generally fall around, so you don't need to grab him here. Like to not have that, I feel like naked when you're on a new site with new ADPs that you're not familiar with.
Okay, so we're in 106 pick. Pete, how do you like the 106 this year?
I love this range because I still feel like you're getting a really strong round 1 selection. I feel like you can capture the end of a tier in round 2, when like that lad AJ Brown range. So I like being able to get 2 of these top guys in the, whatever top 16, 17. So I like this spot, and I love Gibbs.
Easy selection, man.
Oh yeah.
Hey, how are you feeling about CMC? Because like, obviously you go back to like when the draft process started in like, literally the second that we got into this year pretty much. And we were getting him far lower than this. I think when I first looked at my first rankings for the year, I put him down at around about 30. And obviously the rise has just been steady. And then over OTAs, we saw a big jump. Do you think there's a world that in the next week or 2, he flips Gibbs?
Man, that's an interesting question. I thought there was going to be a little more resistance to the CMC rise.
I'm feeling it.
Gibbs seems like a hard, like for me personally, that's a hard line. It's like, yes, we still need to see a slight volume jump from Gibbs, but it's almost like more praying that CMC can do what Gibbs can do than like vice versa in my head, where I just love the setup for Gibbs so much. So man, if the market starts drafting CMC ahead of Gibbs, I'm going to have a ton of Gibbs, and I'm probably going to have very, very little CMC.
Yeah. Tyler, we've drafted a bunch of teams, but I don't think we've drafted that much CMC. Are you drafting him a lot when we're not drafting him?
I mean, like, to me, it is kind of binary. Like, he's healthy right now. The team has the easiest schedule projected of any team in the league going into this year. His stealing case is very efficient and very heavy workload. There are some underlying concerns to have with like how much red zone usage he had, how efficient he will be off the injury. But, it's pretty much like if he's healthy right now, you're just playing that if he stays healthy, he's likely a very good pick on a very good offense. And it's simply that he's just more likely to be injured based on his age and his injuries. So it's really just a more risky first round bet. I take him sometimes, understanding that, well, I'm playing the outcome. To me, it's not too different how I was playing him last year. But we are on the clock here at the 19. Pete, where do you want to go here?
Well, like I said, the AJ Brown lad tier, I've been in on AJ here. I'm also pro Brock if you want to go that direction, but I think AJ Brown for me.
Go with AJ. Tom?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah. It's sometimes it just feels a little easier, doesn't it? Going running back, wide receiver, and it sometimes does going running back, tight end. I kind of feel like the strategy that people aren't talking enough about those running like the double running back start, like here, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Devin Achang, Kyron Williams. And it just feels like we're all talking about how this could be a great year for zero RB because of rookies. We're all talking about how obviously like every year hero RB tends to work quite nicely for the way the draft board plays out. But like, it was only a couple of years ago that Pat won everything with, wasn't that a dual RB start? And I think that the quality of the first 18 picks or so, particularly on Underdog, kind of still allows you to get some really good running backs. You're kind of very dependent on, can I get really good wide receivers in rounds 3 through 6? And it probably takes you out of elite quarterback and elite tight end builds. But like, it's something I want to do a little bit more. Not saying that there was anybody I would have pulled up at this point, because once you've gone past Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, it feels a bit more. But Pete, are you with me, or do you feel like it's a trap that you can fall into?
No, I don't like it, or I don't mind it at all. On Best Ball Breakfast, when I was drafting with Liam the other day, we had a room where we naturally started 3 running backs, and it wasn't forced. It was, Derrick Henry fell to us there. And I've had a few rooms like that where I'm like, if the room gives it to me, I used to be afraid of it getting buried by the wide receiver avalanche. And this year I just don't feel afraid of it. Like, you can still get high upside rookies like Higgins and Burden. Like, you can fill in a lot of like solid vets, grabbing guys. Like I did it on my Pros versus Joe's team where I was kind of wide receiver week, and then, grab Rashad Bateman, grab Christian Kirk, grab Romeo Dobbs. Like, I feel good about those guys' talent and roles. And so I'm way more open to those double RB, even hyper fragile starts this year than I was last year.
Okay, so back on the clock, Tyler, what's top of queue?
Yep. We have Chase Brown, Marv, Adams, Lamar, Brees.
Pete?
I'm good with Chase. We can also talk about a little bit of news here with Zach Moss getting put on the NFI list. I mean, I think Taj Brooks is an exciting late pick, but to me, this is even more about like, holy cow, wheels up for Chase Brown. We know the Bengals kind of slow play those rookies too. I mean, I think Chase Brown, like this bell cow workload is just locked in, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand why people aren't more excited for Chase Brown. Like, what he did down the stretch was excellent. Zach Moss has had moments of being good, but plenty of moments of being completely average. Taj Brooks, okay, fine. Like, I get the excitement. I get why we should be drafting him when there's that much difference between Chase Brown and Taj Brooks in ADP. But like, Chase Brown earned his role. Like, this is a guy who had to get better in pass protection to earn his way onto the field. And the idea that Taj Brooks is going to go out there and be competent as a pass protector from day one in the AFC North, which is full of some pretty decent defense, like, I'm just not sure I see that to a point which eats into Chase Brown's workload. Like, out of the round 3 running backs, I would have the most confidence in Chase Brown. And I mean, I'm saying that before I saw that Omari and Hampton's getting smoked up into this range.
Yeah, and then you've got like the comments about like Chase Brown will be a focal point, which is like the first bullish thing that the coaching staff has kind of said about Chase Brown. With earlier the comments were like, yeah, we like him, we don't know how much we want to use him, as a full volume guy. We have concerns about like him on pass downs, yada yada. But the focal point comment is like the first time where it's like, okay, maybe they do realize this is just the guy worth feeding most of the targets. But we're back on the clock, assuming receiver here. Pete,
is Worthy gone?
I think Worthy went. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you want to bait me into saying I will not call him his nickname, it is Ted Arroyo McMillan. I'm good with him for sure.
I want a little bit of Ted McMillan.
That feels fun. Feels good.
I also wanted to point out, we didn't get to address it. Kyron Williams went at 2-3 in this room. Someone saw the report that he's just going to be maybe holding in, and they said, all right, I got to get him.
Well, I mean, he did, you can spin that the other way, can't you? But like, he's being such a good team player that maybe they'll want to play him. But I mean, the Rams in general are a team worth touching on, because obviously Matthew Stafford isn't going to practice for like the first 5 days or so. And this feels like about the 3rd year in a row that Stafford's turned up to training camp injured. I mean, Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're very good with this sort of stuff, but like, is it me, or does Sean McVay just kind of reach a point where when players are getting more and more banged up, he just, it's like the old kid with the toy throwing it away thing, like Todd Gurley eventually hit a point where he wasn't staying on the field, done with. Cooper Kupp, done with. And despite these guys being incredible, part of me just feels like this could add further fuel to the fire to the idea that the Rams and Matthew Stafford aren't long for each other.
I mean, they've been trying to take him on a year-by-year basis, given his age, and Stafford's like, fine, if you're going to do that, though, you're going to pay me like top 5 in the league money APY, and that seems to be the agreement they have found. And seemingly, Jordan Rodriguez has been telling us for months that they have been discussing Kyron's extension. Things are progressing fine. He's in camp. His agent's talking with the guys. We've seen the Rams be a mid to late summer contract negotiation agreement type of team. So timing wise, this seems like expected as well. But yeah, on the point of Stafford, I think it's more concerning that he's dealing with back soreness now as an old man in camp at this point without any hits. And they might be having 2 of their starting linemen nursing injuries this early part of the season, which is not a great recipe for feeling rosy going into week 1. And maybe a reason why they ride Kyron again, much to the chagrin of every sharp analyst. But we're back on the clock at 54. Pete, what are we feeling like we wouldn't do here to add to our 2-2-0-0 build?
Yeah, I mean, I like everything you have in the queue here.
Waddle's my lean.
Yeah, all right. Let's go with Tom's lean because I don't feel strongly.
I kind of just think this Miami defense is just going to be so incredibly poor. Tua ranked 3rd in pass attempts per game when healthy last year. So now, if we get that combined with the fact that their defense is going to be so poor, are we going to see an even better return on it? Like, obviously, Jalen Waddle let us all down pretty badly last year, but I'm willing to go back to the well on it.
I'm not. It feels like another binary thing where either Tua and this offense are good or they're bad again. And Waddle showed himself not able to overcome how bad the offense was. Last I checked, the line is still very questionable, and the way that the comments about protecting Tua and this offense are still questionable. So I think this ADP and the confidence is baking in a lot of things go right. And similar to CMC, like, and I know the cost adjusted, it's just like I think there are profiles with a little less risk downside with equal or more upside. Waddle's true upside is probably that Hill falls off or is moved and the offense is good. Whereas like some of these guys could just hit by being very, very good on very good offenses. And those feel like simpler bets to make. That said, we also play a game where if he blows up in the finals, that he's the guy you need. And given Tampa Bay, a 3-year history of their secondary being not good, aggressive offense, pushing high scoring games, you want to have exposure to these guys and not full fades because, you could be right, directionally for the season, but be wrong in the playoffs or in the finals.
Darren Waller's on PUP, so obviously we should be taking Jalen Waddle ahead of ADP now. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, training camp PUP is regular season PUP, and we must react as though that is the case.
I also saw a funny Tyreek Hill blurb when I was going through the news today, and he said, I want to focus on football in 2025 as opposed to whatever he was focusing on last year. So good to know that he's going to take it seriously this year.
Okay, Pete, back on the clock. What do you?
I think you push the Addison and stuff now. I don't mind. I take Judy or Caleb Johnson in this spot. I think.
Tom, do you have a lean between the two?
I go Judy. I just looking at how last year went for Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers just killed everything for Breece Hall. I put out a short yesterday talking about how I think Breece Hall's gonna hit his overs for his touchdowns, which set at 5.5 this year. Now he's never been over that, but last year with Aaron Rodgers was 7th in red zone pass attempts. He was 5th in pass attempts inside the 5. Breece Hall was down at 34th in red zone rush attempts and 36th in inside the 5. It was all Aaron Rodgers saying this is about me and I'm going to throw the ball as much as possible in these high value situations. That's not to say that I don't think Caleb Johnson can get touchdowns, but Aaron Rodgers, when you get into those kind of gimme situations, he's got a plan and it's very much him, and it has led to me being a little bit cooler on Caleb. Pete, the chat has got one request and one request only. Can we get Pete to recap the team for the audio listeners? They must be serviced.
Yes, I believe we are through 6 rounds, 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers, no onesies yet. Jahmyr Gibbs and Chase Brown are double anchor. AJ Brown, Tedoroya McMillan, Jalen Waddle, and Jerry Jeudy, rounding it out here in good shape. Although not a ton of stacking quarterbacks, we're looking at Bryce Young and Tua late. I guess Goff could be on the menu with Gibbs as well, but maybe some backdoor stacking potential on this.
Or 18th round Kirk Cousins to give us the
where you are really pushing this Kirk Cousins to the Browns angle, Tom.
Well, look, it's red hot nuclear take season, isn't it? Are we a little early for that?
No, I think we're getting there.
Pete, you said this team's in good shape. Is this team in good enough shape to crank out a couple of pull-ups at a public jungle gym and really show off the dad bod?
That's man, look at the Godwin slide here. I do like Golden, Pollard.
Yeah. What about Hawkinson with Gibbs?
Hawkins a little week 17 there. I think Hawkinson has been falling a little bit. Let's do Pollard.
Okay,
Pollard here.
I thought Pete was going to make me play some Magic freeze frame because not afraid to buy us a few extra seconds. Underdog, one quick trick to freeze it for 5 seconds, buy you extra time.
Yeah, if you just toggle the queue back and forth, you will buy yourself 2 extra seconds. This is about the point in the draft to Tyler's question that I like to just push the plane. You go on autopilot and you go and bang out some pull-ups. You don't really need
That's truly hot best ball summer.
That's right.
Well, shout out to Best Ball Guy. Appreciate you chucking those gifted memberships in there. If you were gifted one of those, do jump in the Discord. We've got my Redraft Rankings, Best Ball Rankings, Rich's Dynasty Survival Kit, which for the chat questions talking about Dynasty trades, like there's nobody better when it comes to Dynasty stuff. All that resources and more. Plus Tyler scraping every little bit of news and health stuff out there. So please do jump into the Discord. Feels pretty good, though. I know you're saying not so much in the way of stacking, and obviously last year a massive Bengals stack was what you needed, but like it doesn't feel like we're seeing massive stacks consistently win every year. So maybe there's still decent paths to it. But yeah, the Kirk Cousins Jerry Jeudy thing is definitely pushing towards bit territory. I'll admit that.
Yeah, you got to commit to it, Tom. Never admit that the bit facade is cracking.
Is that what I'm doing wrong?
Pete, how do you like to play this range? Because personally, this feels really unfun and miserable.
This is why I was okay going Pollard, because to me on this team with these 4 wide receivers up top, I'm kind of looking at Jaden Higgins here. It's kind of the guy generally like. I don't, because we don't have any stacking stuff. What would be your guys' lean?
Yeah, I'm typically going for a rookie in this spot. I mean, if we had any,
I like Higgins.
Yeah, I think that's
Higgins or Trey Harris works.
Yeah, and we might be able to get both.
Yeah, Trey Harris feels like he's going to get smoked up a bit.
You have a lean? Which one?
Well, let's go Higgins.
I think Higgins is the better bet right now.
Yes. Yeah, because right now you've still got like comments that I don't think are nothing. So one thing to note, we talked about overreacting to early training camp comments and news just because we're starved for it and we want to overreact to everything. I think what people really get twisted up is forget everything that's happened to this point and only take everything at face value that we hear right now and overreact to it versus what have we heard for the last 18 months about these players, about these staffs, and then taking into account what we're hearing now. And in Trey Harris's case, this is an exciting type of like analytical guy, but the staff revitalized QJ in a role that suited him well. He played really well doing it, way out surpassing what any of us thought, even more so than just the broken touchdown plays. Like, just played really well. And right now, no Mike Williams, pushing for him, which some thought might happen. And right now he's just continuing to show out and play really strongly. So it's like, Trey Harris, clean path, but I think Higgins much cleaner path as just like the vertical opposite Nico on this offense, had a strong OTAs, all things considered. So it's like, I do think we can get too fancy with whose smoke is more worthwhile when we take into account that, all things considered, these guys both look kind of similar. Jaden Higgins does have the higher draft capital and the cleaner path right now out the gate, with contingent upside being pretty high, with Nico being someone that has missed time with soft tissue stuff in the past.
It's also like what the teams have told us, the way that the Texans have just continued to, it's like, let's try Diggs, let's try Tank Dell, let's get Noel, let's get Kirk. It's just like, we're going to throw the kitchen sink to have every weapon. Did I just say Christian Kirk? The slot demon. Whereas like the Chargers, it's like, we still know that we want their identity to be running the ball. So I just think the upside for a wide receiver in that offense is always going to be a little higher.
Yeah, the Texans is very much the Bengals sort of play of, the offensive line, the defense, these kind of things. We'll put some resources into them and, they obviously hit on the defense in a big way, but it's like they're very much relying on CJ Stroud. Trey Harris here, anyone feeling anything different?
I don't mind grabbing Kelsey at these prices post Rashi on a team where we don't have a tight end, but I'm also good with Harris.
Harris gives us a little bit of, we can grab Herbert, and it gives us a little bit of week 17 stuff. I don't mind it.
Good with me.
How much is Travis Kelsey kind of climbing post Rashi Rice? Like, I haven't been in that many drafts. I've been away a weekend, and I'm mainly drafting on FFPC at the minute. And obviously that's quite different, but is he really starting to pick up a bit of steam?
Not that I've seen.
I haven't seen steam. People, whenever I draft Travis Kelsey, everyone loses their mind in the chat. Yeah. So I don't, even if the bet has gotten better without Rashi, it's hard to win people over with a Travis Kelsey click.
Yeah, especially with this, best case scenario is 6 to 8 games of Kelsey without Rice. But last time I checked, they still have, Worthy and Hollywood and a functional running back potentially in tow. And the early season's never been our question. It's always been like over the course of the season and late, where is Kelsey?
If Travis Kelsey was a running back, we'd all be saying Travis Kelsey is the perfect kind of running back to pair with rookie running backs to give you that 0 RB build. But yeah, it doesn't seem like anyone's excited to draft it. I can't say like I've been massively excited to draft him, but that's kind of more like, and Tyler, we talked about this a few weeks ago, looking at our exposures, that I just really struggle with the Chiefs in the Matt Nagy era.
Yeah. And to your point, I think it's a little bit different. Like tight end, you are just kind of playing ping pong and you want touch and accuracy. And I think like maybe the most bearish thing for Kelsey is that like the offense just isn't prioritizing him in the red zone as heavily as it used to when he was very strong. Is he like projectably fine? Yeah. And like, that's fine. It's just like, which I have more faith in a team like Baltimore being a top 3 scoring offense any given week and over the course of the season, especially when it all matters as far as touchdowns go. Whereas like we've seen the Chiefs kind of like ramp things down late season to, turn on the Jets in the real playoffs. And and they've kind of said that they're going to continue managing Kelsey well. So I'm not going to get too excited here. Do we want to grab RB4? Or do we just want to go ahead and lock up a quarterback stack? Are we feeling antsy anywhere?
I like the idea of reaching for the quarterback here just because we see these runs and it's like we could go from having 4 options to 1 like very quickly. And I like Tracy, but on a team where we sneak in that Pollard pick with Gibbs and Brown, I'm feeling pretty cozy with these running backs.
Agreed.
Pete, like if you found yourself kind of falling towards like certain like roster construction builds in terms of like running back rooms this year, like are you playing it slightly different to last year at all?
I'd say my running, like a typical running back room for me is like 1 in the first 3 rounds, 1 in like rounds 4 through 6, and then like 2 in the window, like the 0 RB-ish window, and then 1 late. And I'm doing like a lot of 3, 5, 7 threes, like a Gibbs with a Kenneth Walker, and then Tootin and Trey Benson and Jarquez Hunter. Like, I feel like that's kind of like what a typical room will look like for me. So I'm trying to push it a little bit more. I've been doing, I think in the puppies, I was trying to like do hardcore 0 RB, a lot of 2-7-7-2s just to try those on for size. So I try to experiment a good bit, but I'd say like balanced is probably my default.
And are you find like, Hayden's done loads of work talking about like 0 RB bros have to get comfortable stopping when you hit a certain point with wide receivers. Are you getting better with that? Like, I feel like that's still one of the things that we're all very good at saying you can draft running backs early or you can draft a lot of running backs, but people still seem to struggle with you can draft wide receivers early or you could draft a lot of wide receivers idea.
My co-host certainly still struggles with that.
The hardest part for me isn't the stopping. It's that you limit your stacking options, right? If you rip off 6 straight wide receivers, like you better nail those quarterbacks that you want to stack it with, because otherwise you're boxed into just tight end stacks or really unconventional stuff. So that's kind of what I don't like about it, is it really eliminates your flexibility, both in being able to ensure stacks and backdoor stacks, but also just like you said, you can't be, building out these backdoor stacks late when you've already spent 6, premium picks on it.
Yeah, I think the inflexibility is the main drawback of pissing so hard early if you're in the wrong rooms and you don't get gifted your stacks or you get sniped. Doesn't make it impossible to win, but it certainly hurts your options versus playing the room flexibly. Do we want to try to get a Green Bay thing going here?
What about Goff with Gibbs at these prices?
Oh, good call. Little quarterback, running back.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit of a fall here for Goff, and we have Gibbs.
Yeah, I think that's good. Invest in the offense. I mean, like taking Gibbs at 6, you're saying his breakout continues at minimum as like a pass weapon. We've heard that in camp. But I think it's bullish that the internal promotion, pass game coordinator, I think Spags did a lot of good research, and someone else did as well, that pass game coordinators getting promoted to OC typically sees a bump in volume via pass versus run. That would certainly benefit Gibbs a lot more than Monty in this offense and makes him a more viable quarterback running back stack. And honestly, you just go back and look at the box scores. The last 3 times that Detroit has faced off against Brian Flores's Vikings defense, Gibbs has been eating them alive on the ground and in the air, and it seems to be their preferred way to play those coverages from a small 3-game sample, but 2 of those being like playoff type environments. It's easy to see that be a stack you might need in the finals, not necessarily, and you just get like the regular season correlation boost.
Yeah, it's just like there's just no reason to fade Jahmyr Gibbs at this point. Like, you look back at how good he was last year, and he had apologies for using full PPR here, but like he had 6 games over 20 points, and 4 of them came when David Montgomery was playing. So like anyone who wants to bitch and moan about the fact that David Montgomery is going to be out there, it's like Jahmyr Gibbs is hitting, maybe not quite full ceiling games, but like 80-90% ceiling games at a really decent rate despite Montgomery being out there. So I'm completely in on that.
So do we consider 3 quarterbacks here, ripping it off with Stroud if he falls?
I'd consider it. I'd also consider pushing it because we do have the Bryce.
Good call. Yeah, maybe prioritize like a Goddard or a
with the AJ Brown's bet. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Easy.
I will just note that your friends from Ship Chasing have Dylan Sampson ranked pretty aggressively. So if this is someone we are interested in adding, he's likely going ahead of ADP, but I'll throw either of those names out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm fine. I still have had some rooms where I did a draft yesterday where I got him at like 149 or something. So it is like, it's either you're in a sweaty room where someone has him specifically start up, or people forget about him at this fake ADP.
Yeah. And I mean, either way, like I don't think it was a make or break for this roster so much of like, I'm sure if we had a real-time assistant yelling at us, it would say, you have no tight end. This is a good tight end and it stacks and it correlates. What are you doing? So I still think very valid.
No, the leg up tool would have had its brain explode there of like, you need tight end, but here, and it's just
I feel like a funny bit every time I picture the tool yelling at someone to take a position that they have none of through 10 rounds. I picture Leone on a run getting like a notification on his watch. It's just like, oh my god, someone's in need.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, it's like, I picture like Desmond from Lost in there. You just got to keep pressing the button like every.
Be in the next life, brother.
There you go.
Recently finished rewatching that, and all I'll say is that it was better that I did it than anyone else did.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would rewatch the first season of Lost, but there's no way I'm going on that full journey.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good TV in there, but the last 2 seasons definitely a little bit painful and make you question your choices in life.
I do that every day, Tom.
Yeah, before we get back on the clock, Rich in the chat asking who's Pete's most rostered late round draft. round draft dart throw, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my exposures are all kind of out of whack with BBM, but like, I think if I just look at mine, it is the Slot Demons predecessor here, or should I say his nemesis, Jalen Knoll. I click him a ton, especially as he's gotten cheaper. I draft a lot of Stroud. I really like him as a late kind of rookie bet. I have a decent amount of Pat Bryant too. Those guys kind of neck and neck for me there.
So we're getting Dalton Kincaid pretty much falling. Of course, so let's ignore that.
Do we want Tua with Waddle? Do we want Bryce with Tet? Or do we want to try to push it around past ADP? I think I prefer just grabbing a quarterback if we want.
Let's do Bryce because then we could consider Sanders. We just got the Waller pup news, even though it's probably a nothing burger, but still, it sounded like we weren't as high on Miami anyways, and we can.
Gotta speak for yourself. Fully betting on him passing an absolute ton. I mean, yeah, it's a fragile bet because of Tua and because of the offensive line, but I just think that we've got 3 players in Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle who've all shown it at various points, and we know that when Tua's healthy, they're okay passing the ball, and we know their defense is going to be atrocious, and I'm all right leaning into that. I think that at the costs, all of them feel like okay bets. Now, definitely don't want these guys, particularly in redraft, outside of Devon Achane, but I still feel there's value there.
Definitely value. I do think that we just underrate that Bryce has a pretty significant rushing component to his profile that makes him to me a more interesting ceiling quarterback to add. And then when you think about Jake on our stream last night mentioning NFC South, most of those defenses still bad. They still play each other 8 games a season. And that's an exciting recipe for some underrated ceiling games from the quarterback position.
Tyler, I'm going to read to you the names of the Miami Dolphin cornerback room: BJ Adams, Ethan Bonner, Artie Burns, Ryan Cooper Jr., Storm Duck, Isaiah Johnson, Kader Cahoe, Jason Marshall, Ethan Robinson, Kendall Sheffield, Cam Smith, Elijah Campbell.
You could have said that with their offensive
Storm Duck. Have fun staying poor, Tom.
I'm a bit of a Tyler Algier slappy, but I'm open to stuff.
You better be open to something else, bud.
I honestly, right with Waddle.
Right
is cool with me. I actually don't take a lot of right. I'm also open to Bigsby in this range.
Tyler?
What are the tight ends, Tyler? Just out of curiosity, to get wiped.
We're all the way down to Gesicki and Ertz, so I'm fine adding Wright for the Miami thing. No strong lean. I think Wright versus Tank. It's like 2 sides of the same coin. How bad or how good are they truly? How bad or good are the offenses going to be? At the end of the day, contingent value is most likely they're out. So we have correlation with Miami. I'm fine leaning that way.
Yeah. Yep. Here, let me give it for the audio listeners. Scroll up. What do we got? We got our 3 quarterbacks: Justin Herbert with Trey Harris, Goff with Gibbs, Bryce Young with Tedoroya McMillan, Gibbs, Brown, Pollard, Jalen Wright, our 4 running backs, Grown-Ass Man, AJB, T-Mac, Jalen Waddle, Jerry, Judy, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, and then Dallas Goedert holding down the fort at tight end.
Would you say the textures of this team are the type you would want to see on a grown man sack of a roster for Best Ball Mania?
I think so. I think there's a lot of testosterone on this team.
More testosterone than there'll be on the randomizer on Thursday.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Wednesday. I mean, Tyler will have to fill me in. I mean, I've done one stream with PPR Tyler. Tyler has way more experience with him. Does he get pretty high T?
I mean, he might be the most high T streamer this side of Fantasy Flock. Let's be honest.
I guess football coach, right? That automatically makes you pretty high T.
Real life football coach. Both of my co-hosts on that godforsaken show love to do push-ups and pull-ups live on stream. It gets very, very high T. So yeah, I expect nothing less from.
Maybe I should make it. There should be a prompt where he has to do the Oklahoma drill with the wall, and it just be him just with the shadow.
Make him do it with the window that faces his cute neighbors that he's embarrassed to stream.
I saw a prompt about that. So he has a girl next door that he's into.
There's like 2 girls next door. We're back on the clock.
You asked about
tight ends
and just go all in on Eagles here.
I'm always good leaning the elite offenses. Also, I apparently missed some of the really bullish comments about Shipley. I think Corain mentioned, maybe it was Corain or Jacob mentioning that Shipley had some more bullish comments about usage than maybe like the Kenny Gainwell role suggested. So yeah, very fine with his profile as our last running back.
Yeah, the what do we have? 2 more picks or 3?
We have 3 more,
and 2 of them are tight ends.
Yeah, 2 are tight end, probably 1 more receiver. Yeah, how do we thinking we want to play this out? You mentioned Sanders, Pete, for the
I do like Sanders on Bryce teams a lot.
What about Aronde Gadsden? Are you taking him at all? Like, obviously, let's say I'm drafting more on FFPC where he's kind of scraping in those back couple of rounds in 18 rounds for Matt. Do you feel like he's somebody who could get a bit of steam and get moved up, or do you feel like that tight end room's a bit too crowded for him to really have value?
It feels crowded to me. I think I need like a Noah Fant-esque cut to Disley or Conklin before I take the Gadsden plunge personally. But he is fun, and like the drumbeat has been there. Like it keeps coming. So I'm paying attention for sure, but I haven't gotten to the click point yet.
I felt the same way about Arroyo, and now I feel a little bit more confident that he's a fine click. You still have the AJ Barner like part-time cannibalization going on that could happen. But yeah, I agree that until we get some movement, I still fear that Greg Roman, his tendency to rotate tight ends with cheaper guys could be there. And without one of them leaving, and I have to hear some pretty strong, like he's our main guy to really find that he's more than like just a touchdown dart.
Has Arroyo gone? Because obviously he gives us correlation.
That's a good question. He's been steaming up. I guess he's still on the board. Yeah. So
yeah, he went in the 16th of like 3 of my best ball breakfast drafts yesterday. But
Still
see,
on
this
the
is the
board.
spot where it's like, to me, I view Jatavian Sanders and Arroyo as like kind of similar bets. Obviously, year 1, year 2, but it's like if we have Bryce, then I'm like, just give me Sanders.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Both ADPs lower on this board, so we don't necessarily have to take our guy there. Do we have a strong lean for where and who we want to take as our 7th wide receiver on this team?
I mean, I'm not going to stop Pete from taking his slot demon.
the new slot demon,
the slot successor. I've named him.
Yeah, there you go. I like that better, slot successor. Yeah, I'm cool with Noel here. And if we just are okay with kind of a spray and pray at the end with the tight ends.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it work for a good couple of seasons in a row now, late tight end being viable.
The only other thing would have been like if you're worried, if we really thought Sanders was important, and then you could basically swap Coker for Jalen Noel as kind of the last wide receiver would have been an option.
I had that thought, but I mean, like the same crowded, and I know like I think there's a difference between like perceived crowded ambiguity and real crowded ambiguity. And for Coker, it's like, they brought in a 1st round wide receiver and a free agent that's been getting constant, drumbeat news. So I don't view Coker as like an easy path to finding, consistent playing time over the course of the season. If Tet breaks out, they don't move on or phase out Thielen. Those are all concerns I have. Whereas Noel, 3rd round pick receiver, wide open depth chart to either, like Kirk, it can be good, but Kirk is also injury prone and Kirk is also on a 1-year contract. So I just think it's a cleaner bet for the 3rd round pick with a really good profile, on a team that let Tank have a lot more playing time than his detractors thought he could earn.
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on Jalen Noel.
I'm sorry, this slot successor.
That's right.
It just feels like CJ Stroud has definitely been undervalued after getting completely smoked up too high last year. And like I was really out on CJ Stroud last year because it felt like we'd never really seen any kind of ceiling from him in year 1. But now when you're getting him where you're getting him, it's such an easy click because I don't have much faith in the running game. Like Joe Mixon, fine, I'll mix him in now and again, but it's like if this offense is going to move with the line the way it is, then it feels like it's going to have to be through plenty of passing. And if that means that Jalen Noel is getting on the field, we're getting him in round 16, then I'm absolutely good with that.
God, come on. We lose JT.
It's okay. We still have him skinny stacked with his wide receiver 1, Pete. I think we'll survive.
Yeah, Chig's good with me with Pollard. Keep doing these little teammate pairings.
Yep.
Talk about news. Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, it's just like the last news we heard from Chig was pretty good. He spiked a little bit. Now he's falling back down because of boredom. So I think that's easy click.
How high are you on the Titans in general, Pete?
I mean, I view them in this like basket with the Panthers. Those two are like my favorite cheap back stacks where I'm like, I just think there could be just a huge windfall of value. Like if Bryce hits, if Cam Ward hits, where it's like, I think there's 3 to 4 of those back stack options that could really smash ADP, kind of similar to what happened the Stroud rookie year, where it was like Tank comes along, all of those guys, they're hit, the Jags the year before that. So yeah, I'm pretty agnostic between those two, but man, I love the Bryce and Cam Ward late options.
Yeah, you got the rushing components, you have the potentially underrated offensive line quality, and then we've seen that, from a college production standpoint for Bryce in year 2, there is a very competent, high efficient passer that unlocks a higher ceiling with that rushing component. And yeah, the Cam Ward like full year starter plus underrated passer, underrated rusher, underrated offense feels like a very clean bet to make. Arroyo goes, sadly, might have to end up with Pete's favorite tight end in all of Best Ball Mania, famously or infamously.
We're lucky that we don't have Stroud on this team.
Man,
you guys are. I mean, this is
Gadsden for the stack.
We could let Tom have his Gadsden here.
It does sound like a UK player, Aronde Gadsden.
Yeah. I don't see anything there that's particularly a better bet than that, really.
No, we may as well just play the game stack out that Houston LA just goes for 50 points and just touchdown chasing.
Yeah. Okay, well, before we recap this team, if you've made it 52 minutes into this stream without me asking you to subscribe, now feels like a pretty good time to do so. But Tyler, let's hand this one over to Pete to let him recap the team through 18 picks.
I would
All
love
right,
to
let's see here.
3-5-7-3.
The Justin Herbert double, Jared Goff with his running back, Bryce Young with his alpha wide receiver, and nothing else because this room wouldn't let us have fun things. Chase Brown along with Gibbs, Tony Pollard, Jalen Wright, and Will Shipley. A couple nice contingent backs there. AJB along with Mr. T-Mac. Jalen Waddle, the most controversial selection of this draft. Jerry Jeudy, we don't know who his quarterback is, but Tom is praying it's Kirk Cousins. Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, and Jalen Noel, little phantom CJ Stroud stack. Dallas Goedert, part of the Eagles block. Chigakonkwo, and UK's finest, Aronde Gadsden.
Well, that's it. I have now become a Gadsden guy.
Better to be a Gadsden guy than a Kirk Cousins guy, Tom. I'll
definitely. I would prefer my exposures to reflect that.
Yeah, we call that a bailout brand. So congratulations.
Pete, you draft with a lot of incredible best ball players. How did this draft stack up?
I liked it. Yeah, this is. People who've been watching Best Ball Breakfast, I think 3-5-7-3 is by far my most frequent build. So I always like these structures, getting the 3 different stacks. We had a nice blend of vets and rookies here. Thought the positional, distribution there was handled nicely. Feels like a shipper to me.
Yeah, Tyler?
Well, we're trying to reach across all the aisles and satisfy everyone. So we satisfied the 3 quarterback cabal. We satisfied the 3 tight end slappy corner. We satisfied the young breakout players. We satisfied the vets are underpriced. These wide receiver piss boys don't take running backs in the dead zone anymore. We attacked the grown ass men. We attacked undervalued Jerry Jeudy. I think we got a player for every type of slappy that is out there. And that's what we're doing in Hot Best Ball Summer in 2025 is we're trying to unite all sides of this community. And I do think this is one team to rule them all as far as bits and gimmicks go, because we don't even forget our folks across the pond with our Gadsden guy.
Well, that's it. I'm very excited to go on Wikipedia and find out more about Gadsden now, because I'm sure there must be some European links that are strong within it. Pete, I know you got to get out of here soon. So before we go, anything in particular over the next few days which people should be looking out for?
Yeah, we got the randomizer draft tomorrow with PPR Tyler. You also have to check out last week's show if you missed that, with this Tyler Emo Cowboy going head to head with Daigle. That was a super fun show. And then, yeah, what else do I have? Thursday, ship chasing, of course. And this weekend, After Dark, I think, is going to be on Sunday. But yeah, the usual shows here. And yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.
No, we truly appreciate it. It's always a fun time. Tyler, I know you'll be drafting Thursday night on your channel. You want to plug it before we get out of here?
Sure, yeah. Check out Typhel Tower, the worst SEO branding in the game, many are saying. Not only is it a semi-offensive and undesirable thing to say, it is also horribly hard to find on YouTube. You can thank my co-host, TYFFEL, Typhel Tower, on Thursdays. Will be live, I believe, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, for more of your favorite toxic best ball bro content. And hopefully we get to punish PPR Tyler for an abysmal showing on the randomizer, fumbling the bag with a big-time guest, busting balls like we do with the best of them. So looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Loads of Redraft, Dynasty, and best ball content coming your way on this channel. So if you haven't already, 56 minutes into the show, do hit the subscribe button. Appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. It's been a lot of fun, and we will see you all when we have won best ball.